Welcome to TalkNorth.com. Thanks to our longtime producer, Brandon Morton. Please download before you listen. If you'd like to advertise with us, you can reach us at talknorthpodcast@gmail.com. And please follow us on Twitter at TalkNorthPod.
Thanks a lot for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on the show, Steve. Should be a good one. Thanks for having me, Steven.
Double S anytime, man.
Christopher Mando Russo here. You are listening to Steven Strom on TalkNorth.com.
Always passionate, always fiery. You're listening to the Strom Sports Show. Take it away, Steven.
It's great to have you with us today. Happy Sunday to all my Talk North listeners. This is the Strom Sports Show, episode 76. Steven Strom here of TalkNorth.com. Before we get started, big shout out to my producers, Brandon Morton, Matt Augustin. If you want to advertise with us, go on our website, TalkNorth.com, and contact Jim Suhan. Okay, we got Noah Eagle, the radio voice of the Los Angeles Clippers on 570 LA. He will join me in just a bit. We'll talk a little bit about the NBA. I want to steer away from the Minnesota Timberwolves because they're just disastrous right now. Lost to the Pelicans at home without Karl Towns. So we'll get into that. We'll also get into just other things around the NBA. Harden, Kawhi Leonard, LeBron, Giannis. There's so much going on in the NBA right now that Noah will help break down, just get his thoughts on what he thinks as he sees almost every single team in the next 3 months. Also, top 3 moments in Minnesota sports of 2019. Yes, 2019 is, it's just crazy to think that it's coming to an end right now. This year has just it is like been a blink of an eye. We'll review the 2019 Minnesota sports season, which really wasn't a great one when I break it down. But we got top 3 moments in Minnesota sports 2019. We'll do that. Next show, we'll do the Minnesota Oscars of 2019. Best coach, best supporting cast, all that stuff. So very excited for that. We also will do our NFL picks who have just, I've just been really hot as of late. Had a 3-0 week again. So great stuff that we have for the show. But let's first begin with the Vikings. And a couple of things I want to get into. Let's first do the Packer-Viking game. This game is kind of meaningless if you really think about it. Vikings win this game. They need Green Bay to then lose to Detroit, who is awful, got just pummeled at home against Tampa Bay. So this game really, to me, it's like, you want to feel like, okay, Monday night, the juice is flowing, but then it's like, okay, even if the Vikings win this game, they still need the Packers to lose against Detroit for them to win the NFC North. Okay, now Dalvin Cook is out. Alexander Mattison hasn't been playing. There's not any more juice to this game. And this was a game on the calendar that you looked at, I think, in the beginning of the season and was like, oh my God, this could decide the division. But as you kind of feared, and I think when the Vikings lost that game to the Bears 16-6, you kind of thought to yourself, man, we're going to really have to dig ourselves out of a hole. Especially because what it comes down to, and that's what it's going to come down to in this scenario, if the Vikings win out and if the Packers go 1-1, because they'll finish with the same record, is the divisional record. And we know that the Packers are going to sweep the Lions. We know they swept the Bears, and they're already 1-0 against the Vikings. So that Bears game, 16-6, back in Week 4, really comes back to bite you in the butt, and that's what's kind of happening this year with the Minnesota Vikings. So Monday night, I know we want to get fired up for it. It's Vikings-Packers. I'm excited for it, but even if they win, it's kind of like, they're still going to have to go to New Orleans, or they're still going to have to go to Green Bay, because odds are Lions are not going to beat the Packers, as much as they might want to play spoiler. So it just kind of stinks that Monday night isn't really that do or die type of scenario for Green Bay, because they know in the back of their mind they got Detroit on the back end. Okay, enough about the Vikings-Packers. This really bothered me. Let's switch to the Pro Bowl snubs. Now, the Pro Bowl came out, and there's 3 snubs, I think, 2 of them that are just brutal for the Minnesota Vikings. And I don't know what your stance in the Pro Bowl is. Obviously, if you're playing in the Pro Bowl, that means you're not in the Super Bowl. So that's like the big running joke. Oh, Tom Brady's not going to be in the Pro Bowl. We never see him in the Pro Bowl because he's always in the Super Bowl. All that kind of stuff. So I don't know what your level of importance when it comes to the Pro Bowl is, but I think there's 2 guys that most definitely deserved it, and I can make a case for the 3rd guy. Number 1, how Eric Kendricks, the highest graded linebacker according to Pro Football Focus, did not make the Pro Bowl roster this year is absolutely ridiculous. Let me just read you some of the accolades so far in this season for Eric Kendricks, who's having the greatest year of his career right now. He broke Pro Football Focus record for most single-season pass breakups by a linebacker. Okay? Eric Kendricks is going against big-time tight ends and slot receivers. To have the most single-season pass breakups by a linebacker is very impressive. Number 2, he has allowed the lowest completion percentage of any linebacker in the league. He has the 5th most run stops by any player, and ranks 3rd in pass rush productivity among linebackers. Those are the important stats. Okay, we can talk about tackles, which he's up there in the league leaders. We can talk about sacks. But those 4 or 5 things that I just read to you, that's what wins you games. There's been multiple times where I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy had 20 tackles. Yeah, but they lost 34-7. Pass breakups. Lowest completion percentage of any linebacker. And Eric Kendricks plays coverage. It's not like these aren't, there's a minimum qualifier. He plays in pass protect. He plays in pass defense. Okay? He's also a huge part of the run stopping. And Zimmer does like to blitz him. He has been an anchor on this defense without Harrison Smith and Eric Kendricks. And this defense already has been good. They haven't been great this year. But without Harrison Smith and without Eric Kendricks, I don't know where this team is this year. And Danielle Hunter. But you look at across the board, Xavier Rhodes really struggling. Anthony Barr, up and down. Trey Waynes, up and down. Mike Hughes, mostly down, some ups. Linval Joseph has been hurt. There has been a lot of holes in this Vikings defense this year, but the 3 that have really anchored is Eric Kendricks, Harrison Smith, and Danielle Hunter. Those have been the 3 guys. Huge Pro Bowl snub for Eric Kendricks. All right, number 2, Kirk Cousins. I mean, this is equally ridiculous. Kirk Cousins is a top 3 quarterback statistically in the NFC. He's got the 3rd highest QB rating in the league. He's got the 2nd highest completion percentage. And I know what you're going to say. Oh, he's dinks and dunking? Yeah, well, he's number 1 rating on deep passes as well. He's one of the best quarterbacks under pressure this year. And he ranks 6th in quarterback rating when hurried. There is not one statistical angle you can take to say that Aaron Rodgers has been better than Kirk Cousins this year. And that's who made it in front of him. The only quarterbacks who rank higher than Cousins in those pro football focus grading systems are Drew Brees, Russell Wilson, and Lamar Jackson. 2 of those guys are going to be in the MVP discussion, and Lamar Jackson's probably going to win it. Here's the thing about Kirk Cousins, and I think a lot of people get this thing twisted. When Kirk Cousins succeeds, it's because everyone else around him. Oh, he has Cook. Oh, he has Diggs. Oh, he has Thielen. Oh, he has Rudolph. But oh boy, if Kirk Cousins struggles, it's, oh man, he's not ready for the moment. He's overpaid, can't play in a big game, can't win in prime time, folds under pressure, not mobile enough. So it's like, man, you got to stay consistent with your critique. And that's what I try to do as a broadcaster. I try to be as unbiased as I can. But it's really hard when other people just try to knock down Kirk Cousins, good or bad. You look at this year, Kirk Cousins is probably having the best season of his career. I mean, he came back in that Denver game and led that comeback win. That does not happen a lot for the Vikings. It's usually the other way around. Usually they end up choking it. But Kirk Cousins led them in that game. Kirk Cousins played well enough to play in Dallas and won on prime time. Kirk Cousins played well enough to win in a lot of these games. Other than Chicago and maybe Kansas City, what game do you look at the slate and you're like, man, Kirk Cousins was the reason why they lost this game? It's very frustrating. He doesn't get the proper respect. And this year especially, he's had a career year. And still, people don't even mention him in the MVP conversation. He's a dark horse, let's be honest. If you're going to put Aaron Rodgers up there, and can we also look at the eye test as well? Aaron Rodgers has not looked like the guy. I do not personally fear Aaron Rodgers like I used to. When we played Green Bay, it was like, oh my God, Aaron Rodgers. He's not the same guy. He's not as mobile. They don't throw the ball as much. They kind of lean on that defense and that run game with Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams. Very frustrating that Kirk Cousins does not get the proper respect, and it's kind of a shame he doesn't make the Pro Bowl as well. Last one, CJ Ham. Is there a guy in the league that serves as important as a fullback other than Kyle Juszczyk than CJ Ham? And unfortunately for Kyle Juszczyk, he is a San Francisco 49er, and he did make it over CJ Ham. But what can you say about CJ Ham this year? Never complains. unbelievable blocker. He has had multiple times where he's caught balls for more than 15, 20 yards on those screen passes. You can trust him on the goal line. He is a really, really good fullback, and they struck gold with this guy. And this is a league now where fullbacks have kind of become extinct. Vikings have kept this thing going. C.J. Ham has been vital to this offense this year, and I think Dalvin Cook can vouch for that. I know Zim loves him. C.J. Ham should have made the Pro Bowl as well. I understand you can only take one fullback, and Kyle Juszczyk has made it multiple times. I think this was the year that C.J. Ham should have made it as well. Now, here's the thing about the Pro Bowl, and we kind of get into this. What does it really mean? Maybe incentives. But what's the end goal here? It's a Super Bowl. It's playoffs. And if these three guys are playing in this Pro Bowl, what does it really say about the season? That's what I'll say to this. Because, yeah, I'm a little worked up about it. I'm a little upset because I believe these guys have worked their tails off and they deserve the credit and attention that they deserve. But at the end of the day, the Pro Bowl is like, it's an incentive, okay, you get it, you have it on your resume, when you look at the Hall of Fame guys, you're like, oh, he went to 7 Pro Bowls, all this kind of stuff. Barry Sanders, 10 Pro Bowls in 10 years. But what does that really mean? Brady's been to how many Pro Bowls? He's got 6 Super Bowls. You think he cares about a Pro Bowl? No. But I just think these three guys have been unbelievable this year for the Vikings, and without them, I don't know where this season goes, honestly. And that goes for C.J. Ham as well, because he was not part of this offense last year in John DeFilippo's spread. He is 100% part of this revamped offensive line zone scheme and the play action and the pounding Dalvin Cook and the pounding Alexander Mattison, and now it's going to be Alex Boone Monday night. Coming up next, Noah Eagle, the radio voice of the LA Clippers on 570 LA. We'll talk NBA. And we're joined here by Noah Eagle, the radio voice of the Los Angeles Clippers on 570 Los Angeles. Always a pleasure to have him on. Noah, how's everything today?
Everything's good, Steven. It's a pleasure to be on, as always. I'm looking forward to what is always an insightful conversation with you, one of the most informed guys out there on pretty much every topic imaginable. So let's get to it.
I appreciate that, my man. All right, so I like to do this a little bit with my guests now. We got a little segment going on. It's called Facts or Relax. I'm going to just say a statement. You're going to tell me, Steven, that's facts. I agree with you. Or you're going to say, Steven, relax. All right, so we got 3 of them for you today. Let's start it off with Pascal Siakam. Okay, unbelievable year so far. Facts or relax, Pascal Siakam should win Most Improved Player again this year.
Yeah, I mean, so I've spoken about this topic with a number of people, and I personally think it's facts. I think that if you look at his jump in production, the difference in role, I just think that he deserves to at least be recognized as one of, if not the best and most improved player in the NBA. And you've got a couple guys in there. I think Devontae Graham's really going to give him a run for his money. The guy's been putting up 30-plus points on somewhat of a regular basis after being an afterthought, being drafted in the second round last year. So that's one guy that will be talked about right there with Siakam. But what Pascal Siakam has been able to do this year in leading Toronto to one of the best records in the Eastern Conference, one of the best records in the NBA after losing the Finals MVP, the guy that put them over the top, is nothing short of remarkable. And I think he'll average 25-plus points per game. He's doing it as the star and focal point, and that's why I think he's been most improved, because he's had more attention that's been drawn to him.
And Toronto's not going to be an easy out in the East. I mean, I think a lot of people thought that, okay, they lose Kawhi Leonard. No, they've got a really good nucleus of guys.
Without a doubt. And by the way, they decided that they want to give it another run with these guys. They decide to extend Kyle Lowry through next season. So instead of trying to trade him in the last year of his contract, they gave him an extra year and say, let's see what we got. We like Fred VanVleet. We like Pascal Siakam. Maybe they trade Marc Gasol and try to get a couple other pieces that fit in better with this team. But I still like what Toronto has. I like Nick Nurse as a head coach, and they're going to be a problem at some point for some team. We'll just see which one it happens to be.
All right, let's segue to a game that you did last night. We're recording this on a Friday. Rockets Clippers yesterday. I watched it. Very good game. I actually thought the Clips were going to run away with that. I thought Houston was just going to have a bad night. But the thing I love about Houston is you just never feel like they're out of the game because they just shoot the lights out of the ball. But Russell Westbrook was awesome yesterday. Facts or relax, Russell Westbrook's success is as important as James Harden's for this Rockets team to win a championship.